Podcast number 8.
Yeah, believe it or not, we're still at it. We're still
and we're not gonna give up.
Going strong.
You can be damn sure about that.
Yeah. No matter how shitty our content is.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect. Permanent. Excuse me. That's not the quote of the day, though.
No.
Start us off.
The quote of the day.
Let's fucking go.
By Larry Bird.
Let's fucking go.
The Great White Hope.
The Great White Shark Hope.
Larry Legend. He once said, "I've got a theory that if you give 100% all of the time, somehow things will work out in the end." And you know what? I like this because
Do you?
Larry Bird, he didn't really, he didn't look like an athlete. Yeah, he was tall.
That's for fucking sure. He looked like a dad.
Yeah. Even when he was in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe he wasn't the most genetically gifted athlete of all time, but he worked hard. He worked on his shot. I think he's just a good example that you can be one of the greats, even if you don't have all those special gifts to begin. So that's why I like this. It's a good. You may think that you are not capable of things, but Larry Bird says just go 100%. And
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Was that Coach Wooten?
I don't know who that was.
We'll go with Coach Wooten.
We'll just say I came up with it.
Fact check on that one. All right, perfect. I feel motivated now.
Yeah. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to run through a goddamn wall. You remember that video I sent you a few weeks, like months ago or whatever?
The rugby player running through the brick wall?
No, I don't know that. No, you mean the Samoan guy like last week? When he was like knocking dudes over.
Oh,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what I was talking about. But that guy was also a monster. But when in the UFC, when the dude was like, his coach is talking to him in the corner, and we're like, "We're firemen." That's what we do.
We live in the heat.
We put out fires. I'm gonna find that right now, actually.
Absolutely. Okay. In the meantime, shall we talk about our featured artist a little bit?
Let's go and I found it.
Oh, you found it.
We're gonna go ahead and just jump right into this.
Can you listen? Your concentration is weaving a little bit. Pick it up. Don't pull straight out. Bend your knees and be strong on the inside and go around them. Let's control the outside. Look, the fire's coming. Are you ready for the fire? Look, we're firemen. Okay. We are firemen. The heat doesn't bother us. We live in the heat. We train in the heat. Yeah, let's go. It tells us that we're ready. We're at home. We're where we're supposed to be. Flames don't intimidate us. What do? We control the flame. We control them. We move the flame where we want to. And then we extinguish them.
What I like about this video is like it really seems like the coach is a lot fired up than the fighter, which I like.
I mean, if you're that guy who's sitting in that corner and that old white dude's yelling at you, there's not much you can say.
Yeah, true.
Kind of like,
yes, coach. You got it, coach.
Whatever it is, I believe in 100%.
That's my coaching style with my kids.
Yeah, just yell at them.
100% fired up, 100% of the time. Yeah.
Fireman.
My teams aren't very successful.
But goddamn it, are they passionate?
Yeah. Those kids are ready to kill someone when they get out there. All right. Featured artist time?
Featured artist.
Okay,
so I guess we'll probably put this at the end of the podcast.
You'll hear the song at the end of the podcast, but here's a little blurb about the man, the myth.
The legend, the I don't know what you call somebody who like they're hard to find. What's a word for that?
I don't know. This dude just never picks up his phone. You hit him up.
We can't do this. We're not gonna trash him and then play a song.
We won't get into this. So
anyway.
Will Mullaney.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We met him at Wakefield Country Day School. He was in our graduating class.
Way back in the day.
Obviously, he was one of the few from our graduating class to get into UVA. It's kind of a big deal. It's not easy to get into UVA, so obviously this is a man of some considerable talent. He has, they've got a radio station that he's kind of spearheads.
He's recently featured in Work magazine, which is a local art magazine in Virginia. Work, WHURK.
Can't say I've heard of it.
but he was in that, and he's a man of many talents. And yeah, he's a musician of sorts, and we'll play his song at the end. It's probably better to do this at the end of the podcast, leading into it.
That's all right.
But we'll fix that for next time.
We'll remind you when the time comes.
And now we're gonna switch gears.
So let's talk about.
Let's start with Taylor Swift. I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, what do we know about Taylor Swift? She can't maintain a relationship.
Apparently, she's a good singer to some people.
Some people think she's a good singer. Enough people think she's a good singer to where she makes a lot of money.
Oh, she makes like crazy amounts of money.
Boatloads.
Yeah, like I think she made $1 million a day last year, which is a lot of money. And if I'm doing the math correctly, that's like $365. Is that correct?
$365 million.
Right.
Yes.
And it's not a leap year, so there you go.
Yeah.
But
so she's got to watch out for those leap years and maybe make a little extra money some of those days.
Put a little extra away.
Yeah.
Pay those taxes. But anyway, she's a global superstar. But let's start the timeline around 2008.
Oh, is that the Kanye West?
Yeah.
So she's had some pretty famous feuds.
Yeah. We're just talking about Kanye West. I don't know of any other feuds. But
okay, well, she's had some, I guess you could say, fights because she's been kind of nasty about her breakups too.
Yeah.
So
she writes songs about them.
Yeah.
So I've been told.
I think it's a lot of young men's goals out there to be a Taylor Swift song one day.
Hey, anyway, you got to make it. But so I guess it started in, I want to say it was the VMAs 2008 when Kanye had all those weird.
Or was it Beyonce got snubbed in Kanye's mind?
Yeah, and
everyone else's.
And he famously ran up on the stage and said, "Single Ladies is the best video of the entire year."
Well,
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you finish. Right.
I don't forget that he said that because to this day people still say I'm gonna let you finish in a minute. So.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, that's what great people do is they add things to the English lexicon.
Theatrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a few years passed, not really much stir up. I think it sort of mellowed out. I think they kind of became friends maybe at one point, but more recently there's been a video leaked by Kanye West's famous wife, who also is one for leaking videos.
Let's not talk about those.
But that's another podcast.
You can do that. You can look those up on your own time. Ideally, when no one's around you.
Yeah, and on a protected home Wi-Fi network. And
only if you're over 18.
Yeah. But she leaked these videos of a taped phone call in which Kanye called Taylor Swift. I'm sure you guys know all about it, but in which Kanye had a conversation about a song he was writing for his newest album, and asked if Taylor was okay with the line, and she seemed to be like all for it. And then at the Grammys, or the song came out, and everybody sort of was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Right.
Caused a big commotion. And then Grammys rolled around. She won the Grammy for something that she probably shouldn't have won, but well deserved. And but she took the time in her Grammy Award-winning speech to subtweet Kanye in a way. And so in a few months later, this video was leaked of the conversation where she said it was okay. And internet kind of blew up at Taylor Swift yesterday, which I was a big fan of.
It's funny because, and you knew she was guilty, and you knew she remembered doing it when, as soon as the video came out, I think she came out and said, "Oh, well, they invaded my privacy by doing that."
Yeah,
but you're guilty.
She used the words, which I thought was really cool. A very interesting way of putting it, but character assassination.
It's funny, you're guilty when you just drop what you were originally saying and just start talking about, oh, that was an invasion of privacy, or oh, they're slandering me. No. They caught you straight
It's right
up.
there.
Yeah.
It's right there. I mean,
The
anybody
writing's
with
on the wall.
2 brain cells could figure out what the fuck went on.
2 brain cells and an internet connection.
Yeah. It's America does not have a tolerance for bullshit, and I'm sure you'll make I mean, not much is going to change. She'll still make a lot of money and whatnot. She'll be famous as hell, but she's
For once, Kanye was not the asshole.
yeah,
For once in his life.
yeah. In the eyes of many people, he's the asshole. I'm sure he'll still be in the eyes of many people, still be the asshole.
That's partially
But,
his own fault. So that's another
He,
podcast. We could do a whole Kanye West podcast.
one of these days.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that actually.
One of these days.
Absolutely. So, I think now,
Switch gears again.
switch gears, moving to the marijuana. Mary Jane. Tree.
Tree, as some call it.
There's
What
a-
are some street names?
Good. You got that?
Kush. The Ganj. That's all I got.
That's
But anyways.
that works for me. Yeah. So we live in an exciting time. If you are a marijuana enthusiast,
That's right.
there's a lot going on there.
And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there. But I think so. Reason we wanted to bring this up was because in November during the general election, there was just like I want to say maybe 8 states who are voting on either legalization or medical marijuana or some sort of decriminalization law. So
where are we at so far? Obviously, everyone knows Colorado.
we've got a lot of states.
Was it Washington is also
Right, we've got 3 states that are completely legal: Washington, Oregon, Colorado. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm not missing anything.
sounds right.
But
It's
there's also a lot
decriminalized in
of
DC.
there's a lot of decriminalized states. There's a lot of medical marijuana states. I'll actually bring up which ones they are. But I think there's also a lot of, not a lot maybe, but a few states where the legislation hasn't been finalized in a way. So they have medical marijuana or decriminalization or maybe even legalization, but it's just not a law yet in a way. So
It's interesting how large a part of many of the political candidates, a large part of their platforms were legalizing marijuana. I know that was a big one for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the reason he was so popular with the young folks.
But I don't know. Among the current candidates, Hillary, I don't know if she'll legalize it.
I don't think she's a huge fan.
I mean, but obviously it's not really a hot topic now. It's
not as much as it was.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think, people talk about big pharma, and how there's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding that. I think Hillary's kind of quiet on legalization because
she's probably sponsored by
big pharma. Yeah. So obviously, a lot of the market with legal marijuana, a lot of the market for painkillers would disappear.
Right, and that's a huge market. I think it's. I watched Prescription Thugs, which is on Netflix. If you ever want to check that out,
Give that a look.
It's really really interesting. But they talk about prescription drugs in America and whatnot.
Right.
And I forget how much money they said they make, but I want to say it's maybe it's over.
It's ridiculous.
100 billion.
It's a huge market. I mean, even one of the shares we own is a global pharmaceutical company. It's a huge business. Real quick about big pharma, I kind of enjoy some of the conspiracy theories out there. One of them is that people haven't found a cure to cancer yet because big pharmaceutical they've gone out of their way to maybe a little industrial sabotage just
Yeah.
to make sure that it's not easy to find a cure.
Yeah.
Because the process of treating cancer is such a huge business.
Right. The money's in the treatment, not in the cure. Because the
Exactly.
cure is one time, maybe, or over 6 months or
In
a year or
theory.
something, and then
We
after
don't know.
that,
We don't know, but
after that, it's like, no more money.
I think in the future there'll be like a cancer vaccine of some kind, or like a pill
Mhm.
you take that.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because maybe like 20 years ago they were saying that around this time we would have that, but it's hard to say between what happens now and 20 years from now.
Yeah.
We could be basically in the same place, or we could be uploading our consciousness to computers or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyways, here back to weed is I found some states. All the states that are decriminalized are California, Nevada, Colorado, Nebraska, Minnesota, Mississippi, Ohio, North Carolina. Let's see,
Interesting.
Washington D.C.,
Okay, go ahead.
Delaware, I think, or is that Maryland? New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. So if I'm correct, that was 16.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that North Carolina is on that list because they've got those big tobacco roots.
Right. And Mississippi, I mean, they're pretty far south. You wouldn't think that they would be so for it.
Yeah.
But legalization is Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and D.C. But not yet for D.C., I guess.
Yeah, they're in process there. No, it's pretty huge. I
Yeah.
do think I would say we're about, at most, 10 years away from it being legalized.
Yeah. I mean, as soon
Countrywide.
as it goes from, I would say as soon as it goes from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, which means that it would be it would be usable for research or medical uses, then at that point they'll probably just make it
we're
legal.
well on our way, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, here look at all the medical marijuana states. We have Hawaii, Alaska, California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Montana, Minnesota, Illinois, Louisiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York. I don't know if I said New York. Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. It's a hefty portion of the United States. That says, the state legislature at least says, yeah, there's some medical benefits to this. So, it's only those Midwest states in the South.
Which
that
is
are a little bit
surprising because
behind the curve.
you think that when you're in the Midwest you'd have nothing better to do.
Well, this is for medical marijuana, not
Ah.
just smoking pot. But hey.
I don't.
But yeah, there's some interesting changes that might happen this election cycle or within maybe the next 8 to 10 years. But people have been saying it'll be legalized from the 80s. They were saying
Yeah, but it's
it'll be
actually
legalized in 10 years or something.
but it's actually happening now.
Yeah.
I think once the processes start, it's kind of like the dominoes start to fall.
right. But I think the scary thing about that is that, like you were saying with Big Pharma, is if Big Pharma falls, and they can't sell pills anymore because everybody's smoking weed instead to take care of their pain, they're just going to try and take that over, and there's going to be these huge plants that grow weed. That was a bad way of saying it. Huge plants to grow plants, but in order to keep up with the demand, and then who knows what happens after that? It's just sort of when the corporations get a hold of it, what happens then?
Yeah,
That's my main concern, I think.
I just think that the positives outweigh the negatives there. It's going to create a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely
I mean, look at Colorado. They have so much money from between when they started in 2014 to the end of 2015 that they had to like give it back. They didn't know what to do with it all.
Yeah, there's a lot of increased spending on education.
Yeah, more schools.
I think some of the
More
problems,
hospitals.
there's some problems that come up with legalization though. Like, I mean, I would say pot definitely makes it, less safe to drive. So, how are they going to regulate it so that what's the best way to decide how much you can smoke before you get in a car and drive? What's there's some legal issue, and do you have to be 18? Do you have to be 21?
Yeah.
How do they?
I think it's going to be regulated sort of the way that alcohol is you have to be 21. Yeah. That'd be probably the best way to start.
There's no, you can't breathalyze for marijuana. I mean, I don't know.
How to tell if somebody's high. Yeah.
That being said, though, I don't really. There's no. I think, obviously, alcohol is a huge cause of traffic accidents. I don't know any statistics for pot.
Alcohol. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Let me keep going, but let me look that up.
You know what they say about the statistics? You see, like 90% of statistics are made up. Or
Yeah.
What's the? Some other problems. There's got to be some sort of legal penalty for buying pot from minors. I don't know if there has to be. There's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be same as tobacco or same as alcohol. It's tough to say. I think there's going to have to be a lot of changes to the way we.
About 10,000 people were killed drunk driving crashes in 2014. Yeah, so about one every hour. Typically around 10,000 a year. Which I don't know. You seem to, with all the TV ads talking about drunk driving and whatnot, you'd think it was a lot more than that. But 10,000 is still a lot, right? But
you got to put it in perspective too.
how many of those crashes are, or how many car crashes happen every year, and then how many of those are
what percentage
drunk
of those? Yeah,
I would say probably like 50 to 60%, maybe.
I would say maybe even 70.
Right.
No, 50 sounds good because there's a
Yeah.
lot of stupid people out there that just
on their phones
playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, which has happened a lot recently, but
Our featured artist actually had some experience with that in Charlottesville,
yeah,
allegedly.
Yeah, he ran into, who knows what happened. It was a lengthy Facebook post.
Tirade on Facebook.
Tirade, right. And who knows whose fault it was,
Yeah.
It's all hearsay at this point. But, yeah. So, when's your timetable for legalization of weed? What do you think?
I'm saying 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years?
I
You
do
think it
think-
happens with this next president or after?
If the next president serves 2 terms, God help us all. if they do, I do think. I think especially if Trump is elected, again, God help us all. But if he is elected, he's a businessman, and
I think he doesn't care that much about weed, at least.
Exactly. Well, I think he's
I think if it comes up,
I would say he's libertarian when it comes to social issues.
I think he's a lot more.
He'll just say.
Yeah.
I would say he's pro. His administration would be pro legalization.
Right. I think he's also a lot more. People don't know that he's a lot more liberal.
He's very liberal socially.
Than he thinks, or than he thinks,
right?
Or his followers think.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Which is, I guess that's one positive to take away, but who knows? But yeah, he's. I think if it comes up somehow into federal legislation or something, it comes up, and I think he doesn't really care that much
Yeah,
if it goes through.
I don't think he does anything to stop it.
Yeah, he's not going to go out of his way to stop it. No, I don't think so. I don't see that happening. But who knows? He's a bit of a wild card.
What's your timeline? What do you think?
I don't know. I was saying 10 years, like 10 years ago. So, I would say 5 to 10 years. Yeah, 5 to 10. But
I mean, it seems reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure it seemed reasonable 10 years ago too.
Yeah, and here we are. It's legal in a few states at least. I think if it doesn't get legalized federally, there's at least a few more states that legalize it in the next 4 to 8 years, depending on who's elected.
Yeah, I mean, and I think one thing we can talk about is how much better it is for you than alcohol.
Yeah, astronomical.
Especially better. Certain consumption methods. I mean, certain consumption methods really take away all the negative things it does to your body.
Right, just eating it.
Vaping.
Right.
Whereas, drinking obviously destroys your liver eventually.
Yeah.
I would say drinking ages you.
Yeah.
Some of the healthiest looking older people I've seen don't drink.
Right.
Abstain from drinking. So it's a lot, put it this way, it's a lot less harmful than a lot of things you could be doing.
Right.
Some
I think it's probably,
some of which are legal.
It's easy to say it's the least harmful, if you want to call it a drug. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's also beneficial. It's more beneficial than it is harmful, I think. I mean, you've probably heard of some stories about like it's helped kids with seizures, like with not necessarily the THC, which is the stuff that gets you high, but the CBD.
Well, I knew someone whose child has epilepsy really, really bad.
Right.
And she used he or she used the
Oh, you already said it.
the concentrate to treat their child, and it really helped with the seizures. So I mean, I'm all for that.
Yeah. I mean, especially with kids, you don't want to, like, if they're having seizures, you don't want to hop them up on some crazy medications that's basically like heroin for kids or something.
Yeah.
That's going to mess them up for life. And if you give them something that's marijuana related, like CBD, and they have almost no side effects, and they're completely fine. But for some reason, it's not being researched as much as it should be.
And that will change with legalization too.
Yeah.
I mean, because think about how much money is behind these pharmaceutical companies. If they just start researching marijuana too, I think the possibilities are pretty endless.
Yeah. I think all the old people in legislation have to not be in legislation anymore. There's
a lot of seats in the House up for re-election this year.
Yeah. I think we should have like 8-year-olds run the world. Yeah.
I think we'll agree to disagree.
I mean, it makes sense. They're all friends with each other. Like, they don't see race. That's
true.
A big problem.
Yeah.
We just want people to be happy. I can get behind that platform. Yeah. But hey, I'm just podcasting from a basement. What do I know?
From the gutter here.
So yeah.
Do you feel like we've? I think we've covered that pretty well.
That's pretty good, yeah. But you want to talk about your new fitness segments coming up soon, hopefully?
So what we're hoping to bring you is daily, or at least every other day, just little blurbs, 3 to 8 minute videos where we talk about, I'm planning on talking about fitness. Daniel's going to talk about philosophy, and
that's right.
Just a little something to kind of keep your mind working, something that's a little less of a time commitment than sitting down and listening to one of our podcasts.
5 to 10 minutes at the most. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully something you can get out of something if you're interested in fitness. Give it a listen. You might find some of the information useful. Daniel's philosophy video should help to get your mind working a little bit, maybe
Damn right.
change the way you think.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
If that's what you want.
If that's what you want.
So
but yeah, that'll be on the.
It's pretty exciting. Yeah, so keep an eye on the Facebook page. We'll
Facebook,
obviously
YouTube.
We'll share it on Twitter. It'll be hosted on YouTube.
Yeah, and I guess now is the point where we would play Will's music.
We'll play Will's music after my fitness tip for this week.
Oh right, sorry.
Which is
my bad.
That's okay. All is forgiven. Sleep. So the professional athletes, they have sleep coaches.
This one's good. I like this fitness tip.
This one I can get behind. I was reading an article, just talking about how much professional athletes sleep. So LeBron James, for example, sleeps 12 hours a day.
I don't know if I buy that.
I buy it. You think about the strain he's putting on his body. Anyhow, you're basically, if you're not sleeping enough for your amount of activity, you're just wasting what you're doing in the gym. So, like if you're out binge drinking the night before, you stayed up till 3 a.m. I would sleep in the next day instead of going to the gym, because you're only going to be hurting yourself.
Really?
By going to the gym when you're not fully recuperated.
Okay.
So, sleep 8 to 10 hours. All right? Let your body recover, otherwise you're just wasting your time.
Yep. And if you get tired, learn to rest, not to quit.
That's right.
I found that on Reddit this morning.
Get motivated.
Got me up and ready this morning.
All right, so like we said, we'll play Will's song now, and enjoy that.
Yeah.
Featured artist
of the week, Will Mullaney. You can find him on SoundCloud.
Maybe.
I'll add that. SoundCloud, Facebook. He goes by the name Backtraveller. He's also on Instagram.
He's got an interesting Instagram, absolutely. Yeah.
Very, give him a follow.
Very
give him a
artistic.
Like, whatever it is.
Whatever you feel like, and
that's all she wrote.
God bless America.